guy I want to mention before we get to the free agents and wrap this thing up. And I don't want to say this hyperbolically. I genuinely mean this. I think George Valera has superstar capabilities.
No doubt about it. And that's funny because they really need help in the outfield. But then Valera might be one of the most exciting prospects offensively in this entire system. I think he is the most exciting prospect offensively in this entire system.
I think he's the guy.
Unbelievable. You got to see him, right? I mean, you called games with him on the field.
Plenty of times.
Unbelievable bat speed. Just ridiculous, just whip that you just can't teach. That makes me think he's going to have 30 plus home run power, no problem.
Yeah, so I've seen Valera 2 separate years. I saw him in 2019 in short season A-ball with the Indians short season affiliate. I'm totally blank. The Mahoning Valley Scrappers. It was in Mahoning Valley, Pennsylvania, I want to say that is. And then I saw him this year with High A Lake County. And Valera, the way the bat comes through the zone, I mean, he had some like viral bat flips on bombs to dead center that I called. I was sitting there and I was like, he just hit that ball to the stratosphere. Oh my God. Valera is the kind of guy that just looks like a really, really good athlete. And then 420 comes out of nowhere. Like 420 to right center is something that he does. And it doesn't look like he should be doing that. But that's what his swing creates.
He's one of those guys that transcends his frame. You know, like he's got crazy juice. And the interesting thing is, I'm curious if you noticed this. Probably between times you saw him, he used to have a lot of movement to get to where he needed to get before unleashing. And he was much more toned down this year. I thought it was, I mean, there's still some movement, but I thought it was much more toned down. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the K rate dropped. His overall contact rates improved. And it didn't come at expense of his ridiculous power. That's why this guy, he made it up to Double A last year. You're not going into next year banking on him being a part of the team. But if they're competing, and he's continuing to swing it the way he can swing it, and we've seen, that's a guy that could end up being a call-up later in the year. And wouldn't that be a nice little boost for them? I mean, it would change everything.
So when I see the swing, I see an athletic Kyle Schwarber.
Wow. I mean, there is that kind of just explosiveness.
I see it in the load, too. I see it in that cock back.
It's crazy easy lift. And that's the thing, is he doesn't need to be a gargantuan to kind of do that Kyle Schwarber type of output. The exit velos are on par, believe it or not, with Kyle Schwarber, you know, just a hair below, like, which kind of, when he really connects, which kind of puts it in perspective there too.
Hey, by the way, speaking of Schwarber, I think Kyle Schwarber is a great fit with the Cleveland Guardians.
I know. He actually there couldn't be a better fit. They need somebody like him so badly, like so badly.
I think he could be the guy.
But would they spend that? This is the biggest thing with the Guardians. They have not spent more than, I think it was like 40 million. It might even be less than that in several years. And the largest contract they've ever given out was 3 years, 60 million to Edwin Encarnacion. It was a good deal for them. He gave him 2 good years and they traded him. But when that's the biggest deal in franchise history, like, are they going to do that? I think that when you look at this squad, that's the type of move you can justify, because he could be the type of dude that puts you over the top. And the thing is look, we kind of got the pulse of fans a little bit, that they're a little frustrated. And I'm sure the Guardians ownership knows that. And a signing like that, which won't nearly break the bank, it'll be a fraction of Lindor still. You'll still be well in the green. Mm-hmm. And let's be real again. Class A is under control for several years. You still have Bieber under control for several years. Your middle infield, as we mentioned, all under control. Nolan Jones will be under control. The whole squad's under control and cheap. Make the gesture that the fans deserve.
The Guardians have $29 million committed to their current roster right now. That's the lowest payroll for 2022 in all of Major League Baseball. You've got money. Like we're saying, with Tampa Bay, they can sign the guys to big money if they so choose. The Guardians, if they pick out the right guy, they can sign them to a $50 million contract. Kyle Schwarber's not looking at $100 million. He's looking at 50. Maybe it goes down. We have no idea what the market is going to look like, how the market adapts after the lockout. If Schwarber is a $40 million guy, he's from the state of Ohio. Granted, he's from just outside of Cincinnati, but that's still state of Ohio. He can get back to the Midwest. He obviously liked being a Cub. He can get back to his area. He can get back to his home state and he can fill in these holes. Out in left, Schwarber can play left field. He can play right if he needs. He can play first base. The Red Sox just proved that to us.
Yep.
Kyle Schwarber has some defensive versatility. Granted, he's not that good defensively, but he's got defensive versatility, and the bat is worth $50 million. You already have a DH in Franmil Reyes for sure, but you can go get Schwarber and have two big sluggers in your lineup, and that is an immediate boost for a team that has no offense.
Hey, they showed it with Edwin. That was the kind of move they made. It's pretty similar. So, I mean, I think you made the case there. I would love that kind of move. And especially when the rest of your team is so cheap. It's not just cheap because they're like, oh, we don't care about competing. It's cheap because they have so much talent under control. Their entire rotation's under control. The best bullpen arms are under control. It's ridiculous. So you have to be okay, I think, with spending. And you don't need to commit 5+ years to make a huge change to your offense like Schwarber. I think 3, maybe 4 at the high end would be able to do that. And that's something that I think they have to be able to be okay with if they really want to win.
A couple other names I want to throw out here. I'm actually looking at lefty outfield bats right now. Corey Dickerson, Jock Peterson. Got one more for you. Alex Dickerson. What do you think about those 3 names? They're not sexy names, Jock obviously being the sexiest of all them, but they're names that can help this offense and provide an everyday left-handed bat for them.
Yeah, I don't mind Corey Dickerson. He's definitely somebody that hits better in hitter-friendly environments. He's one of the more fragile guys in that aspect, but I think he could be fine in Cleveland. Alex Dickerson's got some power too. That's not a bad left-handed bat as well. I think any of those guys are justifiable and can kind of fill in and be better than Rosario was for them. Remember, Rosario was great after, but Rosario was a sub-700 OPS guy for Cleveland. So they would get a nice little boost there. I think any of those bats, that's probably what they are targeting, but they should be targeting a bit higher. And not just because we want to spend other people's money, because like we said, they are in a very desirable spot for the next several years. So even on the back end, when they might have to spend more money because a lot of guys will be up for free agency and they may need to extend guys, they don't need to worry about that for 2 years. So they could even front load Schwarber's contract, which nobody does. And that would encourage him maybe to take less on the back end. And you could be in a better spot there. Like that's something that not a lot of teams can offer, and Cleveland can, and still wouldn't even feel it given how cheap they are in terms of what their payroll obligations are moving forward. By the way, the highest zone contact rate per Baseball Savant last year, David Fletcher, 93.9%. So Stephen Kwan would have been, obviously he's not facing big league pitchers,
right? But
I mean, that kind of puts into context. That might have been the highest zone contact in all the minor leagues. I have no idea. There's no way for me to know that. But I can tell you that it was elite, beyond elite.
Let's go trade for a hitter before we talk free agent relievers and then we say bye. What kind of hitter that would be available via trades would be worth a couple of good middle infield prospects?
And so to back it up a step, who are you most okay trading? Are you more okay trading the prospects that are in the minor leagues right now, like Rocchio and Tena, or are you trying to trade Ahmed Rosario and Jimenez and those guys? I think Jimenez's value is a little diminished, but at the same time, he's incredibly young still. And is a slick defender. Rosario finished really strong, and his value might not be as high as it might not be ever higher than it is right now.
Or could you give your trade partner the best of both worlds and give them a Jimenez and a Rocchio for a good player?
Yeah.
Right.
I think all of those are options. And the reason why I asked that is because that kind of influences what I'm looking at here in terms of teams. Because there's a list of teams. You could see another, I said it on the last podcast. I think I just really want to see one of these, but I want to see a big leaguer trade because those just never happen anymore.
Yeah.
And I look at some teams around the league, like who would be okay doing big league for big league. It's hard to find, but who desperately needs middle infield help? Who desperately could use shortstop help? That's where you can start to put it together there. And I look at, of course, the Angels. I look at the Phillies. I look at the Cardinals, for example. Who else could I be missing here that could use a big league shortstop now and would be real willing to give up something on the other end? Giving up maybe a solid big league ready piece or depth piece in the outfield. It's a tough matchup. And that's why I think you might have to ultimately go to a rebuilding team and offer the prospects, because that might be what they're more interested in. Like an Arizona team that wants a little bit of both, that could be your partner.
Yeah, you got me hooked on the Cardinals, because if they went and got Ahmed Rosario, if you packaged Rosario and Roquillo, is that enough for Bader?
That would.
It's hard.
No,
probably not. Right?
Not after what he did last year, and I think he's untouchable.
Yeah,
like,
go to MLB Trade Machine, punch it in.
Oh yeah, that'll answer it. Yes, they'll let us know.
Okay, so Lars Nootbaar, you can go and get Newt for probably not too. You might have to.
You could get Newt. You could get Newt.
You could get Nootbaar for what? Roquillo?
Yeah, straight up. I think
straight up.
Is Lars Nootbaar that good? Like, are we sure he's that good?
No, but he could be an add to that outfield. Like, you don't need Roquillo. You've got guys that haven't even cracked the bigs. Roquillo's in the same spot. Like, why would you hold on to Roquillo if you've got Gabriel Arias ready to go?
I agree. And that's the thing. And even if Arias doesn't pan out, you got a bunch of other guys that would potentially be there already.
Maybe you like Tana more.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So what about the D-backs? The D-backs claim that they don't want to go full rebuild. So, okay, you don't want to go full rebuild. David Peralta, is that getting you excited? Maybe not, but he's kind of decent. He's pretty good. But I think any of those young guys is too much for David Peralta. So now you're making it like a larger deal, right? Like, what are you doing?
Okay, so how about, because you've got that hole at first base, Bobby Bradley. I'm going to try for Pavin Smith.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I like that.
Pavin Smith for Roquillo and maybe another organization guy.
Well, they got to throw in David Peralta. You got to give me David Peralta on that too. What are the D-backs going to do with David Peralta?
Okay, so could you go Peralta and Smith for Ahmed Rosario and Brian Roquillo?
That's an overpay.
Wow. Okay, so Peralta and Smith for Rosario and a guy in the 20 to 30 range.
Or someone like even Tana or below.
I think they like Tana. Like, what about like an Aaron Bracho?
Yes, something like that. What even you could even go lighter and go for Christian Walker and platoon with Bobby Bradley there. Christian Walker murders lefties. Bradley hits much better against righties. You platoon it first.
Now, what I like about Smith is his ability to play the corner outfield spots.
We're going for the versatility route.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
You're a low budget team. You need versatility.
Yeah, and you know what? I still like Pavin Smith. Like I still believe in him. I still think that he can be a dude for them, and I think he can swing it a bit better than people give him credit for. Another interesting one. I don't know if they're okay parting with him, but I feel like you got to be okay. But at the same time, then you have nowhere to really put him. So I'm actually shutting this down as I'm saying it. I was gonna say Seth Beer. But the guy is the worst defender I've ever seen in my life. No offense to him. He rakes.
And that's
probably not going to happen. Yeah, you're probably not going to do that one. So I would love a Christian Walker / Peralta deal, but Pavin Smith would be the best case scenario if they're okay with trading him. They've got enough dudes like that. Like they've got Josh Rojas. They've got several guys coming up that are outfielders as well. I think that they'd be fine trading Pavin Smith at this juncture.
Okay. You know what? Screw the relievers. We're going to end on this. We're going to put together, that graphic trade, right? The trade where Ben Bellotti puts it together on the graphic and we pump it out on social media. David Peralta and Pavin Smith for who? For the Cleveland Guardians.
Oh, shoot. So the problem is I really struggle to contextualize the value on like Brian Roquillo because I know people love him and he had a really, really good year. So I think the value on him is really rising quickly. I don't know if you even need to trade Roquillo in that deal if you're going to do that. I think you can go with Andre Jimenez. Hold me accountable here. Andre Jimenez, and you could probably go lower level like Angel Martinez, or you could go with Jose Tena. Let's say Jimenez and Tena. Does that get it done?
Jimenez and Tana.
And we'll throw in like a third dude.
And Peralta. I think you got to add one more guy. To be honest, I think Jimenez and Roquillo gets it done. Can we call it Jimenez and Roquillo for
David Smith? Then I want Arizona eating the money for David Peralta if I'm doing that.
Wow. Okay. All right. David Peralta and Pavin Smith for Brian Roquillo and Andres Jimenez.
And they eat cash.
We just spent about 40 minutes on the Cleveland Guardians. How do you feel about their team?
They still aren't great.
but they're a couple of pieces close. Or
did they get Schwarber? Away. Did they get Schwarber in this instance?
Right. Do they get Schwarber? That's the big question. Do they get Schwarber?
Okay. Well, also, if they get Schwarber, Pavin Smith, and David Peralta, is their whole team just lefties?
Yeah, maybe, but that's fine. I mean, there are a lot of righties in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, it's cool with that. I guess that's cool with me. Yeah, okay, you take that team and now you add Schwarber, Pavin Smith, and Peralta.
Okay, so how about if you get Schwarber, you make it Christian Walker instead of Pavin Smith?
Yeah, now you don't have to give up as much in the prospect department. I feel like we can make a more exciting trade than that, though, to be frank. I know we want to wrap this thing up, but we got to do better than that.
All right. You know what? Let's sit here and workshop. Who do you want?
Do better. That's just the lamest end to an episode ever. Congratulations. We got you two really mediocre players. I do like Pavin Smith, but
I don't know.
What about the Baltimore Orioles? And you go get the Orioles. They're not trading today.
The Orioles want to keep their young core for the next batch to come up, and they think their window opens in 2 years.
No, they're crazy. What about Oakland wouldn't do it. What are the Phillies getting you? It's just tough, man. It's a tough game. Playing GM's tough.
I like Arizona as a trade partner.
Yeah,
I do.
That might be the best. I'm looking around. I'm like, that might be the best bet.
We're talking about a cheap-ass team.
Yeah, we are talking about a cheap-ass team. That would actually, if their pitching is to the caliber that we think it can be and their prospects are performing at a big league level that we think at least some of them can, I kind of like it. One more for you, though. Maybe this could be an interesting one. What if they went with a CJ Cron, who I know you're buying high on the altitude. I know you're doing it, but you go CJ Cron and Raimel Tapia. Is he even getting? Did he get non-tender? I think he might have got non-tender
with his 120% ground ball rate.
Yeah. Honestly, forget Tapia. People can tell we're truly just workshopping this one right now. But I would love that. Give me some CJ Cron. That guy rakes. I don't care what you tell me. He rakes. Full CJ Cron action.
How is CJ Cron less boring than Pavin Smith and David Peralta?
It's not. This is really depressing.
It's not sexy, but it's the end of the episode.